Almost live from the Herbert I. Greenberg Studios at WHIG, it's Up Late with Sam Bass.
Thank you, Scott Smith, and welcome to Up Late with Sam Bass. Hey, first off, a huge shout out to our fantastic presenting sponsor, Sparkling Creations. They truly outdid themselves at the Chambers Oyster Roast this year. They set up a stunning 40 by 100 clear top tent and did an amazing job with the decor. And guess what? They actually brought a mechanical bull. Yep, you guessed it, I rode it myself. And I wasn't the only one. My good friend, Benton Moss, owner of our other great sponsor, Metro Maintenance, also took a turn on the bull. Don't believe me? I thought not. That's why our Up Late team has put together a video montage of the whole thing. Robbie, can you roll that clip? I think Benton did a little better than me, but it was a blast and everybody there had a great time. So all right, folks, tonight we have a fascinating guest from the Cryptozoology and Paranormal Museum in Littleton. You might recognize the place. It's the place with Bigfoot chilling in the front yard. Seriously. And no, I wasn't drinking when I saw it. Our guest, Stephen Barcelo, will join us in just a few minutes. Let's talk about the elusive legend himself, Bigfoot, the world's reigning hide-and-seek champion. So here we are in 2024 with robots sweeping our floors, AIs writing essays, and sometimes scripts, and missions to Mars. Yet we still cannot get a clear picture of a Bigfoot. I swear this guy's got better security than the president. Obviously, right? And speaking of the president, if you didn't catch my interview with Donald Trump last week, make sure you go to our YouTube page and see what I'm talking about. I was going to say check it out, but I don't say that on here. Go watch it. So, since the election, have you heard all these crazy people going around, all these crazy statements they're making about the election? They're making statements about leaving the country, shaving their heads, going on sex strikes. What? Unbelievable. So who knows who Kathy Griffin is? Do you remember her? I don't. Maybe a little. She even got in on the action, posting a picture of her newly shaven head and declaring she would abstain from any kind of intimacy with any man until a Democrat is back in the White House. Men everywhere are happy. They are bowing their heads with gratitude. I mean, isn't Kathy Griffin already punishment enough to men? She might actually be doing us all a favor. But I digress. Let's get back to the subject at hand, Bigfoot. I was thinking, if Bigfoot is real, he is living the ultimate life. No junk mail, no flu shots, no COVID shots, no Kathy Griffin. Meanwhile, we're out there shaving our heads and trying to master pickleball. So Bigfoot, if you're listening, you're my hero. Keep doing your thing, but if you ever do decide to make an appearance, stop by for a glass of bourbon. Bigfoot might be elusive, but some folks have actually managed to snap a picture here or there. Sometimes he's even been spotted in some of the strangest places, ladies and gentlemen. So this is my top 5 favorite Bigfoot photos. Number 5, in a bathroom stall at a Mexican restaurant in West Virginia. The man who snapped this photo said he was alerted by weird noises and strong odors coming from the stall next to it. You know, the same thing happened to me once. I was just minding my own business when a concerned citizen barged in on me and snapped this pic. Such a violation of privacy. I feel your pain, Bigfoot. Let's move on. Number 4, Bigfoot elf. So if there's any creature harder to capture than Bigfoot, it's Will Ferrell. I mean, we've been trying to get him on the show forever. Here he is in the classic movie Elf in the classic Bigfoot pose. I'm starting to think I might have a better chance of getting a Sasquatch on the show than Will Ferrell, but I refuse to give up. Number 3, Bigfoot Abbey Road. I'm really hoping this one's real. This would be so awesome. I wouldn't want to be Paul McCartney in this scenario though. I'm guessing that this did not inspire I Want to Hold Your Hand. Maybe it did inspire I Should Have Known Better than to walk behind a Sasquatch. Number 2, this is my favorite one. Bigfoot Sam. Now that is a good looking Bigfoot right there, if I do say so myself. If I was that good looking, I'd have to hide too. My number 1 Bigfoot photo, real or not real, is Bigfoot playing pickleball. This has to be a fake. This is fake news. No way, I don't believe it. But I guess even Bigfoot could get in on the pickleball craze, I don't know. So don't disappear, don't hide, sit tight. We'll be right back with the authority on Bigfoots and other things paranormal, Stephen Barcelo.
Metro Maintenance has provided fast, reliable services in Nash, Edgecombe, and Halifax counties for over 35 years. Metro Maintenance offers services for residential, commercial, and institutional facilities. These services include heating and cooling, electrical, plumbing, and general repairs. Our numerous years of experience, knowledge, and resources help us to accomplish our mission of serving our customers with superior service achieved through integrity and hard work. All of our work is guaranteed. For service, call 252-977-2730 or find us on the web at metro-maintenance.com.
If you're planning a party, wedding, birthday party, baby shower, or corporate event, Sparkling Creations can make it memorable for you. With tents, tables, bouncy houses, and more. We can even provide a fire pit for outdoor events. If you want to be adventurous, we have a mechanical bull. You name the event, and Sparkling Creations has you covered. Located at 976 North Winstead Avenue, Sparkling Creations, where we make every event sparkle.
Welcome back. As promised, Stephen Barcelo is here, founder of the Cryptozoology and Paranormal Museum in Littleton. Stephen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here myself.
So the first thing, when we were talking about putting this show together, you told me you couldn't come because you were too busy chasing escaped monkeys in South Carolina. Everybody's heard the story. Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
Well, we heard about it and I had to go down. It was just something out of a bad B movie that these 43 monkeys escaped from Alpha Genesis research lab. And I thought, doing some research I was surprised to find out there's actually an island down there, Morgan Island, which is called Monkey Island, has over 3,000 assortedly diseased monkeys and they're on it. Apparently they came out of Puerto Rico back in the late 70s. And apparently somehow, the United States graciously brought them up here, I guess, to research these things. I'm not sure of the whole background in Puerto Rico, how they started. It was just something like I had to go to check out. And lucky enough, my friend Renee came down with me, And she actually, we captured some good activity there, but we got a thermal image of at least one of the monkeys loose jumping from tree to tree and tree. So at least we got something.
So I'm assuming the thermal imaging is what the value was of you going down there.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, there was other news crews there, and they were like very jealous that we brought thermal equipment with us. I mean, because they're just literally stuck in front of the gate filming through the entranceway.
So all the monkeys, are they all safe and sound now?
No, I believe there's 4 monkeys still loose, but they by the time we were there, I think they collected, oh geez, I think it was 20 some monkeys or 26 monkeys. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head now. So they had quite a few, so I was kind of like rushing down there. It's like, I don't want all the monkeys to be picked up before I get there. There's no story.
Save me some monkeys.
That's right. But we had a lot of fun. It was a fun story to do.
I've been following it. It's very interesting. So I want to ask you this. How do you go from being a journalist in New York City to being a founder of the Cryptozoology and Paranormal Museum in Littleton, North Carolina?
I guess I'm just lucky. Actually, I came down to semi-retire, moved into Littleton, bought this big old historic house on Mosby Avenue, and we had paranormal activity. Now, I have had an interest in the paranormal. I've done some things in it in the past. My ex-wife, not so much, and so basically, but I took advantage of it. My oldest daughter was like-minded with me, interested in it. So we started just telling about it. People realized that I had an interest in it. Next thing you know, the Bigfoot stories started coming in. And I was really surprised. I mean, these weren't, like I did one documentary on Bigfoot for the New York Daily News, which was up in Whitehall, New York. Now, I'm from Long Island. Long Island, we don't have any Bigfoot sightings. We're excited to see squirrels. I mean, it's all overbuilt. So the one story I did, which I pitched to my desk, they were reluctant, but it worked out well. It was upstate New York, but the sighting was back in the 70s, and that's kind of normal. These sightings are old. So I come down to Littleton, and these sightings are happening that morning when people are coming to them. I'm getting these killer interviews, and it just took off from there. Next thing you know, I have Travel Channel, MTV, NPR, PBS, some heavy hitters coming in.
Right.
And so I had town commissioners come up to me and say, "You're making us look stupid talking about Bigfoot." So basically, that's kind of when I knew I kind of made the mark. I was getting out there, and I actually ended up running for office. They kind of crowded me into it. So I ended up being commissioner mayor for a while in town.
So what'd you tell me your campaign sign was?
Oh, I got to get you a copy of it. Basically, it says, Bigfoot says, vote for Stephen Barcelo. And it was just kind of had a Bigfoot silhouette on the side. They got stolen as fast as I put them out.
I bet. Well, that's great marketing.
Oh, yeah, it was just something. It was, and I brought in the News and Observer and stuff. I mean, it was just,
So what do you think the most surprising, reaction, most visitors that come to the museum, what do they get surprised by?
I think people are surprised by the interviews, the fact that this stuff is so recent. I mean, the most recent sighting now is literally like 5 weeks old. I'm out there on the ground, I'm boots on the ground filming and documenting things. The journalist in me, I like to interview people and go out there and get fresh interviews. So I've gotten some amazing stuff. Like one, Jesse Walker, I'm sure you've seen, a local in town. And this is about probably a little over 4 years old now. And Jesse was 73 at the time, a retired school teacher, had a sighting on Moore Street, 1 o'clock in the afternoon behind his house. And his lady friend brought him to the house. I interviewed him. It was the middle of COVID. Everything was shut down. I was elected official at the time. And I interviewed him. He cried through the interview.
Wow.
That one went national, coast to coast. I mean, it was another, and now he's like a little celebrity in town. Now he goes to like the local Walmart. People go, "Are you Jesse Walker?" And they pose with him. So he loves it. I mean, so it's been a win-win. I mean, like I said, we have a brewery in town now is doing a tie-in. Timberwaters, great brewery if you're in Littleton, definitely come by. We had a restaurant in town that had a Bigfoot burger. Now that's a Mexican restaurant, and they're going to be doing a Bigfoot tie-in. They had a Bigfoot burrito, but there's been some management changes, so we're doing it again. The coffee shop in town was doing Bigfoot cookies for a while. So I mean, just one thing after another.
Take it and run with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, what the heck? It's there's no licensing on Bigfoot. The sightings have been there for over 100 years, going back through the town. And if you have the world's best tomatoes, become the tomato capital of the world.
That's right.
We have Bigfoot sightings, and I took advantage of it and ran.
It's even
with
better than tomatoes.
That's right.
So Bigfoot has appeared in civilizations dating back centuries. Is it perhaps a creature of earthly origins, or do you think it may be extraterrestrial?
Actually, that's a very common thing. A lot of people think they're interdimensional, especially now with all the things coming up in Congress talking about UFOs, and for the Congress to be talking about interdimensional things. And but basically, I still kind of lean towards, now I'm not saying I'm not going to change my view, I still kind of lean towards flesh and blood. The thing that I've captured, some of the images I've sent you are thermal images, getting footprints, having things thrown at us. It's been I've had some pretty impressive stuff happen in a short period. Like I've said, I've done a documentary for the Daily News in the past, upstate New York, but I was skeptical at best. I'm just interviewing someone, I'm a guy with a camera on his shoulder. Since I've been down here and interviewed people and I've had done the investigating, I've caught so many things now that I can't explain. I've gone from skeptic to being a believer. I believe there's definitely something out there. But we have quite a few guys on our team that are very grounded, retired state troopers, things like that, and they believe they're actually interdimensional. They've seen things literally move behind, it looks like a Bigfoot type creature, move behind trees that aren't even big enough to hide the torso and just disappear, like blink out. And how do you explain that? So,
very cool. So I'm familiar with all the Bigfoot sightings up in that area. One of our viewers, though, Ronnie Tharrington in Macon, North Carolina, fan of the show, he wants to know if you've ever heard of something called the Embro monster up in that area.
Yes, I have.
Tell me what you know about that.
What I've heard about that, possibly a large cat, doors ripped off hinges. Now, there are people that consider it more of a Bigfoot type creature, but some of the stories I've heard more of a large cat that's been in the area, animals going missing. But some of the stories here, some of the animals that this thing has taken have been very large pigs, which goes back to some of the Bigfoot stories where they've seen large creatures on, bipedal, 2 legs, grabbing pigs, stepping over fence lines and making haste out with them. So
wow.
But that's a good story. That goes back quite a bit. There's quite a few in the area, though. Then you have the Littleton Bigfoot.
I've heard of that one.
And that goes back to the Smithfield Genetics Lab. And there's stories down there of a creature half human, half pig. I know
there was a whole Seinfeld episode about that.
So there's a lot of different stories out there.
So I want to get back to the museum. So other than the Bigfoot displays you have, what other interesting items can visitors find there?
We have a lot of paranormal stuff. A lot of things get donated to the museum. I kind of look at the paranormal as almost an indoor sport as opposed to Bigfooting being more of an outdoor sport. They can both obviously go across both. But we have a lot of haunted items. We have some creepy caskets that have been donated to us. One of them that we have there is a loner casket. So it was one. I won't say if it's truly haunted. I can't say that for sure. But it's a casket that was used by a funeral home as a loner casket. So if you had a loved one that you wanted to put on display, you're going to have a cremation, you could rent it for the day. And this one, unfortunately, had leakage, so it's pretty creepy.
Oh, God.
So it's a large, beautiful old wood casket, things like that. We do have a hay crane that someone actually hung themselves from the rope that we got called in to remove. So we have things that are kind of to the extreme that some people are not really into, so we keep that to the back. If you're really just into the cryptozoology, ufology end, you can pretty much come into the museum and we keep that stuff more towards the front because some people could be offended by certain things. But we have quite a bit there, and we're still always expanding. We have a lot of videos being played. We show evidence. Usually I'm there, if not other people that can talk. Sometimes there's a whole crew in there. A lot of the guys that come in that do the research and they love to tell their stories. And if you're lucky, you might find Jesse Walker in there to point out the front door of the museum.
Local celebrity.
Yep, literally. His house that he saw is right across the street from the new location, the museum, which is 300 Northwest Main Street, Littleton, North Carolina.
Make sure you go visit. You will not be disappointed. So, what do you think is the most compelling stories or evidence that you've encountered on Bigfoot's, alien, paranormal, that kind of thing? What's the most compelling thing?
I've gotten a lot of great stuff over the years, and a lot of things I didn't even know I had. One of the things I caught was a documentary I was doing upstate New York for the Daily News, was the Shanley Hotel. It's this paranormal activity in this hotel. And I caught this thing called the Ghost Cat. If you want to look it up, it's the Shanley Hotel Ghost Cat. And if you just do Ghost Cat, it comes up as a movie. But I got this great thing going across a hallway, did not know anything about a cat being dying in this room. And basically this guy, Sal, buys this beautiful old hotel. It's got a lot of history. history to it. You can look it up. Basically, he gets this thing. He builds an apartment on the second floor for himself with his older cat, and the cat will no longer stay in his apartment. Wanders up and down the second floor, out in the hallway. He feeds it out there. Eventually, it goes up to the third floor, and it settles in this room called Claire's room. And it's called that because this woman Claire was supposedly murdered in the room. So the cat wants to be in that room. It's inconvenient for him, but that's where the cat wants to be. He feeds the cat, checks on it multiple times a day. One day he goes up there and the cat's passed away. He's obviously upset. He buries the cat out on the property in the back. I show up 3 years later to do this documentary. Don't know anything about the cat. I know all these other stories about the place. And I do this investigation, of course, interview everyone. I was there 2 days, 2 nights. And I'm playing back almost a month later. I'm going through the DVR system. I had 16 cameras set up with wires all over. And they get this crazy thing walking across the screen into this room. It goes from one room to another. And if you look at it, it looks like the rear end of a cat. You can see the tail. You can see the back legs. It has a little J hook in it. It's pretty wild. It was huge for him. I mean, that brought in Taps, Kling Brothers, a lot of the big paranormal groups that had TV shows at the time. And just for them to be able to say the New York Daily News captured the Shanley Hotel ghost cat. So the place has gone through changes, but it is back open under new management, and we are planning on going back up there. I've talked to the new owner to do a follow-up, which has been, that's got to be 16 years ago now. So
That would be cool if you still get an image of the cat.
yeah, so see if we get anything. See if lightning strikes twice.
So what do you do with skeptics? How do you handle people that say, oh man, you're full of crap. None of this stuff is real. Bigfoot's not real. You're full of it. How do you deal with that?
Well, just as long as they buy a T-shirt, I really don't care. But I'm going to get that, and that's just any business you're in, anything you do. And I know you interview a lot of politicians. I mean, you're going to get people that's butt heads. I don't run the church of Bigfoot or the paranormal. I'm here to tell a story. I'm a journalist, so I tell you what I've got. I leave it open. You make your decision. I mean, if you're interested in it, great. And I get people that come in that love this stuff. And some people walk in, especially like I'm up by Lake Gaston, so get a rainy day in the summer. I get people walking in, scratching their head, going, "What is this?" And and I'll give them the nickel tour and explain to them what's going on. And some love it, some just go like, "This ain't for me." But that's life. I mean,
well, I've been there, and I believe in a lot of this stuff. I've got a good friend who's been on this show. He's a former Top Gun pilot. And he will tell you that, a lot of his friends have seen things, UFO related, they cannot explain. And I think the guy that testified for Congress was a good friend of his and says he's very credible. So, I mean, when I hear stuff like that, you got to think there's something else going on out there.
Definitely.
So, what advice would you give to somebody who wanted to start a paranormal investigation group?
I'd just get out there first, start doing your own investigations, get together some like-minded people, and just don't take it too serious up front. I mean, enjoy it. Go out there and do your investigation. And if you want, feel free to reach out to us. We'll tell you some basic equipment to get. Don't invest a lot if you're not sure if you're going to get into it. Because trust me, any of these things, you can spend a fortune, like any hobby. I mean, you can spend thousands and thousands of dollars on thermal imagers and stuff. Right. If you're going to use it once, it's pointless. Especially with the paranormal, you can get away with basically using, a basic recorder, some very simple equipment. These days, it's a lot easier than it was when I first had interest in it. Back then, there weren't organized ghost tours. So a lot of it involved...
I love a ghost tour.
Yeah, a lot of it was trespassing. I mean, so you were sneaking onto properties and doing stuff. These days, it's a lot easier to get out there and go to places. There's a lot of these big, old sanitariums and old places, a lot of haunted hotels you can go to. It might cost you a little bit to get in there, but it's a good way to break in, or just start off on a tour and see if you enjoy it first. Like Bigfooting, that's something we've got more. The paranormal world is a much bigger group. It's much easier. It's easier to go out and do a ghost hunt. Bigfooting is so rare to get a place where you're actually getting sightings in real time, and that's what Littleton is known for now, especially the Medoc Mountain and all that. I mean, the whole area is just crazy. So we've really put the town on the map. So it's very unique for that. Talking about ufology, we go out there and interview people who've had UFO sightings. That is probably the most difficult. For me to interview you, you tell me what you saw, you point at the sky. That's great. We can film the sky all night. The odds are we're going to get a couple of Starlink satellites going by. But the odds of getting something is so slim. That's probably the hardest one to put together and investigate. But if you're into that anyway, if you have a nice telescope and you're into watching the sky, most of us don't even look up. I mean, so. But
I actually have a friend that's writing a book about UFOs, so he's researching that now. So what do you think the effect of pop culture has had, movies and books, on shaping people's perception of paranormal activity?
I think as far as us as a business, it's been huge. It's become so much more acceptable than it was years back. It's kind of funny. I was down in South Carolina not too long ago, and I was stopped into a Burger King because I can't eat beef or pork because of a tick bite, to get a veggie burger, And I'm in there, and the guy walks up to me and goes, "Aren't you the Bigfoot guy?" So I talked to him and stuff. So I remember getting in my vehicle. I was driving back. I call one of my buddies and go, with all the stories I did as a journalist, all these famous people and mob dons and stuff, and what am I known for? The Bigfoot guy from being on Travel Channel. But it's. I don't mind it. It's been very helpful. Like every time Congress has another hearing on UFOs, that brings more people in the door. I get more phone calls. I mean, it's rare I go a week without a phone call or two with someone telling me about a paranormal experience, a Bigfoot sighting. We get some silly phone calls too, don't get me wrong. We get, there's a lot of people that want to.
Out there.
Yeah, and they're going to want to debate you, or they're just looking for their moment of fame that is, hoping that, we'll do a video on them.
So if you could pick just one mythical creature or it's hard to say, paranormal phenomenon, which would you feel would be the most important to prove as real?
I would have to go back to Bigfoot on that. I think that's the one. I think it's Mothman's huge in the crypto world. There's a lot of different creatures up, but Bigfoot's the one that's everywhere. This is the one that's been seen for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's mentioned in so many different books and things. It's just, it's too much out there for there being literally nothing about it. Number two, I would say, would be UFO. And the UFO stuff is just so huge right now. Paranormal is great. The only problem with paranormal is you can cross lines where you can offend people easily, especially with different religions.
Right, I could get that. So, on the Bigfoot part of it, so if you could, you see all these things, these borderline, it's like everybody's camera's been dipped in Vaseline when they take a picture. Why do you think we've never had a really good, clear shot that is believable?
I think a number of reasons. I think if you go out there and you film, a lot of guys on my crew now are a lot of ex-cops and stuff. They like to use the body cams, but they're still they're sort of like a GoPro. They're better, but they're like a GoPro. They're still wide angle. It's hard to get anything distant. I'm a journalist by trade. I'm used to going out there. That's why you've seen I've been very lucky to catch some things. I constantly film, and then if I was to interview you, I'd have the camera rolling from the first time you and I are in the parking lot, just trying to catch anything I can use for B-roll, and that's benefited me a lot to have things. But it's hard to get things. Basically, and there's a lot of fakery out there. There's a lot of garbage. Some of the sharpest stuff I've seen, it looks like people send it to me, and this looks pretty good. It's like, and you can right away see. You can tell by the way the camera is handled. Anyone who's been out in the field has done this sort of stuff. And then there's a lot of shows out there that, they're more worried about getting, viewers and clicks and things like that, as opposed to doing
it's
what
all
really
about
happened.
clicks.
Yep. It's all about making the Benjamin. And in reality, you go out when you do anything paranormal, Bigfooting, ufology, it takes a lot of time and effort. There's a lot of boots on the ground, and a lot of people never get anything. And that's just the bottom line. I've been very lucky over the years to catch the few things I've gotten, and hopefully I catch some more things along the way. But I'm there to tell the story, interview people, and promote it.
Like I said in the monologue, the world's greatest hide-and-seek champion is Bigfoot. So I want to get back to the UFOs. So the Pentagon recently released another report including 700 plus new UFOs cases, 21 of which were not explained. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're going to see a lot more come out. It's kind of funny, you come from the same age group I do. Basically, we grew up with people like Bob Lazar coming forward, saying that, I worked at Brookhaven National Laboratory for 18 years. So I worked for the U.S. Department of Energy. So did he, working at Los Alamos and stuff. So things he said clicked to me when I worked there, made sense. But you still looked at him as kind of a nut job, the tinfoil hat. All the stuff he was talking about now has come factual. It's like, and this is coming out. Now you have Gruss and all these other guys coming forward from the government. So I think you're going to see a lot more. I think this is just the tip. I think they're spoon feeding the public, because I think you're going to see some major stuff coming out. Little things have leaked along the way. and I think you're going to see a lot more.
Should be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I was actually disappointed. As much as a lot of people were excited over the last hearing, I thought even better stuff was coming out because there was stuff being leaked out they were claiming. And like once again, in the business I'm in, I get folks coming in. This is North Carolina's, military land. We have guys come in all the time that work for Blackwater and this and that and the other thing to tell us these crazy stories that, we were brought in to clean up this and do that. And I can't use names, of course. But I mean, is this too much? Is too similar? And these guys have too many facts that make sense. So I think there's going to be a lot of really great stuff coming out in the future.
So you've served as commissioner of Littleton, mayor pro tem, mayor for a little while, right?
Yep.
So how do you balance those responsibilities as a public official with your passion for cryptozoology and paranormal? Do the two intertwine or mix, or is that a problem?
They actually work pretty well, believe it or not. Actually, it's one of the reasons they asked me to run, and that's why they're actually asking me to run again now. But basically, I was, before COVID, not to bring COVID up again, but we were in talks for a TV show. One of the things they liked about it, and COVID, of course, killed a lot of things, because I worked for a major newspaper, and the fact I was an elected official gave you that little bit of credibility on both ends, and then I ran the crazy museum in the middle. But so I mean, it does help on a lot of ways. And if anyone who's run for office, and especially in a small town, once you're in there, it never kind of goes away. People still come to you and ask you things. And how come the garbage isn't picked up? Why isn't that pothole fixed? I mean, it just you just never get out of it. But I think actually it's worked out well. I mean, there are some people who just think it's silly, but I enjoyed it when I had to go talk at some Lions Club or something. I'm Steve Barcelo, commissioner, the home of Bigfoot, They're like, what did he say,
Like I said before, that is a great marketing thing.
It is.
I mean, like you said, if you got the best tomatoes, market it. We've got the best tomatoes. But you guys got Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I've got a Bigfoot Christmas ornament on my tree. Okay? So I'm a Bigfoot guy. So I just want to say, this has been so interesting. We mentioned earlier you might be a regular on the show. And somebody that wears a shirt like this, folks, they have to be on here on a regular basis. So I really appreciate you coming on here. But I did want to ask you one more thing. So what is the most credible sighting you think of Bigfoot or any other creature in the Littleton, Gaston area, Lake Gaston?
I'm going to lean towards Jesse Walker. I think his sighting was very good, just because here's a guy that's honest to a fault. I mean, this guy, I literally had to sit with Jesse at one of the local funerals, and I was a commissioner at the time, and I had to sit in the lobby of the, I won't give out names, but just to kind of reel him in. And it was a poor woman who died, and she had lung cancer and stuff. And every time someone walked in, he would start off, I told her she should have stopped. It's like, Jesse, I mean, not the time to do it, But I mean, that's, just to give you an idea, this guy, he has no filter as far as honesty. For him to come out and start crying, they said he saw this thing, I think he was a good one. But we've had so many more. I mean, I've had people, tell stories that go back, 80 years. I mean, about one being beaten to death down by the park there. And if you go to my YouTube channel, which is just under my name, Stephen Barcelo, and you can actually see all these things. We have almost, I think, well over 200 videos up at this point.
Wow.
So.
Stephen, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for taking your time to come here and talk to us about all these very interesting things. I love it. Appreciate it. We're going to have you back. Maybe you will be a regular.
I'm right around the corner, and the bourbon's good.
Hey, we do what we can. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Hey, I want to thank my special guest, Stephen Barcelo, for being here tonight. Great stuff. Great interview. Don't forget to tune in next week for our special Christmas episode. Every Thursday night at 10 o'clock right here on WHIG. Up Late with Sam Bass. See you soon.